help in a time of need. Grace appears as that which is needed in our time of need, be it protection, strength, peace, guidance, or whatever the fulfillment might be. Grace is timely. This truth proved itself one night as grace came to me as an actual inner voice of guidance and protection through what could have been a robbery or something worse. As always, I contribute whatever spiritual fruit I bear in my life to grace, continuous study, lots of meditation, and definitely lots of prayer to my Father. When you combine these, you attune yourself to the inner impulse of our Father. In other words, when you align yourself spiritually, it aligns you with the direct grace, love, and mercy of our Father. So the story begins one evening, just after dark while on my way home. I decided to stop by one of the local ATM machines to withdraw some money. This particular ATM machine was not in the best part of town, but it was on a route heading to my house. As I pulled up to the ATM machine, I pulled out my ATM card from my wallet, and I accidentally dropped it between the seats of my truck. Since there were no other cars in line behind me, I quickly jumped out the truck to see if I could reach it. I was out of the truck no more than 1 minute, perhaps, when from out of nowhere, I heard what was like a voice of guidance. It was sudden, but it was soft. I heard the words, "Get in the truck now." These words were so intimate that they appeared to come from within my own mind. So of course, it's no surprise that there was a slight pause and a raising of the eyebrow as to say, did I really just hear that? As I remained kneeling down outside of the truck, momentarily mystified by what had just happened, time must have been of the essence, because out of nowhere, it spoke once more, this time slightly more invoking, "Get in the truck now." Amazingly, at that moment, I was able to grab my ATM card and quickly jump back in the truck. Now, of course, you can imagine as I sat there, I was quite puzzled by all that had just happened, to say the least. How could I have just heard these instructions so clearly, not once, but twice, and not have a clue as to why? This was definitely peculiar. Nevertheless, why was there a need for what appeared to be a divine intervention? I heard of this happening to many people, but I saw no impending danger, so none of this made any sense to me. As a result, after sitting there for a moment, I did what most people would have done. I chalked it all up to thinking out loud. The span of this whole experience, from start to finish, was about 5 minutes. At that moment, I decided, clearly discrediting the reality of what had happened, to proceed to withdraw my money out the ATM machine. However, as soon as I attempted to roll down the window, I heard these final words, this time more forceful to the point of almost pushing me forward in the seat. "Drive off now." Wow, this was all a little bit too much for me. I was in the process of thinking I was having a nervous breakdown because I was hearing voices. There are many stories out there about people going crazy religiously because they took the religious thing too far. Had I reached that point? What happened next, however, was totally shocking and mind-blowing. Within a few seconds of being given those instructions to drive off, I happened to look in my rearview mirror. From out of nowhere, a dude wearing a hood just happened to be rushing towards the back of my truck. Apparently at some point while I was out of my truck searching for the ATM card, this guy had walked up, but I didn't see him. Evidently, he decided to wait until I made my transaction to make his move. Though unknowing to me of the situation at hand, our Father's divine guidance was truly on the job. Thank you, Father. Through natural reaction, more so than obedience, I threw my truck into gear and I left that dude standing there choking on exhaust fumes. I remember driving away with my eyes piercing in the rearview mirror. I could not believe this. As I watched the fading silhouette of this guy, the whole time I'm thinking, wow, did that just happen? I'm telling you now, I honestly wanted to scream because there was so much adrenaline pumping through my body at that moment, like electrical currents. This was crazy. I honestly don't know what shocked me the most. The fact that I almost got robbed and possibly hurt or killed, or the fact of having experienced an unquestionable moment of divine intervention. Even though I hadn't really had an experience that strong before, in that moment I knew undoubtedly that there was an intangible, divine presence available to each of us in our time of need. In other words, I knew in that moment that our Father's grace was present. The divine guidance from my Father, it neither felt distant, nor did it feel eerie, nor was there thunder in the clouds, or anything from the great beyond. No, this was help in my time of need, and it was close, as if it was part of me. I heard it not with my ears, but I heard it within me. It's the same impulse of guidance we all experience from time to time, just not this strong. It's that inner guidance you get when you're told not to go somewhere sometimes, or to take a different route at certain times of the day, just to find out later on that day that you were spared from some crazy situation, or worse. Most people have this experience. If you haven't experienced this, trust me, it's real. Throughout most of my spiritual life, I had read and heard of Psalms 23. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me, as you know how the rest goes. Well, now I had an actual confirmation of this divine passage. What was once grasped only through the intellect of the mind had now leaped into an actual experience in my life. Our Father's grace is truly awesome. Remember this, life is full of miracles, and these miracles happen whether other people believe in them or not. If you're willing to establish an inner relationship with our Father, you might be surprised to find that your miraculous moment is just around the corner. Isn't it a blessing to know that we have our Father's grace, love, and mercy always at hand?